Broadcasting live from the Greater Perimeter, it's time for Greater Perimeter Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
This episode is brought to you by VR Business Sales Atlanta, guiding business owners and buyers through successful transitions with trust and expertise. Visit vrbizworld.com or call 678-470-8675. Now here's your host, Ramzi Daklouche.
Thank you, Lee. And with us today in the studio is Mr. Jonathan Sparks of Sparks Law. I'm so excited with this episode because I know Jonathan personally, and his background is just amazing to be a lawyer. So, Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's
Absolutely. So, before we start about the law thing, because we're going to talk a lot about it, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background? Because it's very, unorthodox for somebody to go to what you used to do to what you do right now.
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to piss off my dad.
You did a good job.
And the best way to do that was to be a lawyer. So that was my goal.
That's awesome. Fantastic. So before that, what'd you do?
Before law school, I was actually working a lot in the music industry.
Yeah.
Of all things. And kind of just, doing whatever I could to make money in that industry, teaching, guitar lessons, setting up sound stages for mega churches in the Colorado area and all of that. And quickly kind of hit the ceiling, I think, for that industry and sort of art. So decided to trek out to Washington, D.C. and go to George Washington Law School.
Oh, it's fantastic. So what year was that? About what year? I want to
2009.
date you back. Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, it dates me a little.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet in the bad zone.
And did you immediately go to having your own firm, or did you work for the farm?
Yeah, I got out of law school, and it was kind of a tough time for lawyers. There was a lot of supply of lawyers and very low demand for lawyers. This is the post 2008, crash. So, and I really wanted to be, a transactional lawyer working on, business commercial deals.
Yeah.
So my first job, was at King and Spalding, which is a pretty major firm internationally, but their main headquarters is here in Atlanta. And got a lot of great experience there, had a good time, and then decided to set up my own shop. They had this is kind of a big hot button topic in the worlds today, but are you promoting people based on merit or based on seniority? And
right.
They were definitely seniority, and having always been someone that works hard and pulls the extra hours and tries to get stuff done, that it just wasn't going to fly.
Yeah, it's hard to be, pulled back when you're better, but seniority sometimes wins. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my supervisor pulled me aside. We had a major project that needed to get done, under budget, and we had a lot of constraints, and most of the partner attorneys were out for the holidays.
Yeah.
So we were doing all this work over Christmas and New Year's, like literally doing 60 hours a week during Christmas and New Year's, like on the holidays themselves. And we did it, and we were successful. And then my supervisor kind of pulled me aside, and he's like, "Hey, this is that guy over there went to Harvard, and he's been here 15 years. So
oh my God.
He's in front of you." So that was, but hey, I'm really grateful for that because I got some great experience.
Sure.
Had a good time, learned a lot, and really kind of lit a fire under my buns to do it on my own. So
when did you establish Sparks Law?
2013. Yeah.
2013.
Yes, sir.
So 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
So what I know about lawyers is either they are single office lawyers, or they find a niche and they kind of really do a good job. So tell me about you, because I know you're not alone in this business, even though it says Sparks, but you have lawyers, you have office team, and they're incredible people. But tell me a little bit
Thanks.
about how did you go in 11 years to becoming a real enterprise?
Thanks for that. I guess, I mean, we started out, like anything where it's just what can we possibly do to keep the lights on, So I took a trespassing case. It was I was pulling cases from it was Georgia cases. I think that they were from like the 1800s or something. I mean, they were really old, interesting, crazy cases that I was trying to cite, and like it was just not for me. And we did an okay job, but wasn't my specialty. Another guy wanted me to go into personal injury law and med malpractice, right? Also not for me, even though that would really piss off my dad. Well,
Yeah.
but no, we found that I had a real I don't know, passion or calling, what have you, for entrepreneurs. I'd always been entrepreneurial myself. My family started a company when I was, I don't know, 6 years old. And we kind of grew that company together as a family. It was a closely held company. They now have almost 100 employees, and they're really thriving. They're at the top of their market. So, that spirit, that entrepreneurial drive and kind of grit, really works well for me. And and I found that there was a real lack of lawyers who have that kind of mindset and approach. There's plenty of lawyers out there that will like poo-poo your creativity and your interesting ideas, and they just kind of, oh, I don't know if you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no one's ever done that before.
Sure.
And the entrepreneur says, well, exactly. That's why it's going to make me $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I don't know. You should do something else. But no, I really enjoy those people, and those are my people, and we like to serve them.
Yeah, I know some listeners will never get to see you, but you are not. That's why I was telling, Lee and his wife earlier. Said, what I love about him, he doesn't look like a lawyer. So, which is perfect because I've dealt with tons of lawyers all over the world in the past, 20 years or so. So,
I actually thought about that. I mean, when I first hung out my shingle, I was like, the thinking was, I need to look so basic. Like, I need to look so run-of-the-mill lawyer, like just scream boring, stuffy lawyer, because that's what people
expected of you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, chopped my long hair off, kind of grew a little gut, wear nothing but like polos on the weekends, and, like just really basic Birkenstocks, I guess. But
oh my God,
I know, it's terrible, right?
If you have a picture, I'd love to see it because I can't imagine you that way.
Here, it's on my license.
Oh my goodness,
the shot. There's me.
Oh no, that is not you. Okay,
different guy. So, but then I realized pretty quickly that our clients, they're not looking for that boring, stuffy lawyer. Like, they want someone interesting who's a real human being and has their own, passions and life going on. And it was not a drawback that I play guitar and make music sometimes. It was not a drawback that I had an interesting background and wasn't always only in the law. So
I think for me, when I met you, it gives you an edge, right? Because it's not a different career path even or life path to become a lawyer. And being unorthodox, in your profession allows for people that really looking for that differentiator to find it with you, which I really appreciate because absolutely evident in the work you guys do and how you carry yourself, not the stuffy, typical lawyer. Nothing against them. I've met some great people, but it's refreshing to find that other thing and probably helping you with your career.
Thanks.
So Sparks Law has grown significantly, in the past. What do you think has been the key to your success?
Learning to, say no, I think is a big deal. Learning to, just what's not a good fit, for everybody, for clients, certainly, for employees, for vendors. I mean, we call it the spidey sense at the office on our team. If our spidey sense is tingling, it's probably not going to be a
That's
good
very
fit.
interesting. It's interesting you say no, learning to say no first thing, because I think that's the biggest detriment to any business, especially at the beginning. You start taking everything. And sometimes I find myself in the same thing. It's like, I take anything, but you got to learn to say no, because once you say no, the time you took to really work with BS projects can be spent on networking or other stuff that can really actually help your business. So I'm learning. I'm trying to learn to say no, but it's a gift if you can say no, especially in your personal life as well, to say no and take care of you first. So that's very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's I forget what it's called. It's something like the Pumpkin Patch Plan. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Mike Michalowicz, I think, is the author, and really great book. It's probably 10 years old now, but they analyzed how people grow the biggest and best pumpkins in the world. And the way that they do it is they kill off all of the little tiny pumpkins, because they're just going to suck up the nutrients that the big pumpkin needs, and nobody cares about the little pumpkins,
Exactly.
So he's like, for every service business, you really got to learn to feed the big pumpkins for your business, whatever is the best for your business. And exactly what you said, Ramzi, you have a limited amount of energy and focus and time and money, certainly. And if you're wasting it on, somebody who's, not a good fit for you, then you can't be nice to your great clients that you love and want to work for and see them be successful,
Yeah, and my advice to new business owners is everybody falls into that, right?
Yeah.
Because they're looking for cash flow, they're looking for to keep feeding the beast, right?
Right.
So at the beginning you may have to take few, but then you really have to keep that in mind. Like eventually, I'm gonna have to get to the point where I say no, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning it's hard. You're taking everything. Literally, oh, I'm excited. I have case, or I have client. But at some point you have to kind of start firing clients that do not line up with your business plan or your strategy. So
and you're thrilled to work with ones that are good clients for you, know, and you can help them to kick ass in the in their markets.
Yeah. So what kind of businesses do you typically work with? Like what size businesses? What businesses you like? What's your soft spot?
I love working with businesses that have recently found a lot of success and are kind of growing a little faster than they anticipated, or they necessarily know what to do with it. Because there's a lot that we can help out with. And, I think another thing that kind of differentiates us is just understanding of, what is a cash crunch? Why is that important? And what can a business do to not, fail from all the growth that they're looking through?
Well, I got to tell a story about you. So it's funny because I had the same situation. My business took off really fast. And 2 days ago, you and I had a conversation.
Yes.
And you said, we need to review something, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not, so it's literally, I love what you said because it lines up, and that's not actually rehearsed or anything. It lines up exactly with the advice you gave me. We need to kind of slow down to kind of move fast on some of the paperwork that I have that probably will get me in trouble, or anyways, we have to work on it. So
we'll be all right.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Very good. What are the most business mistakes you see businesses make, or most legal mistakes businesses make?
Oh, two separate questions, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so legal mistakes. There's this. Okay, so I want to take this back a little bit. When Whole Foods, before it was, bought out by, what is it, Amazon?
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Jesus. We're not supposed to talk religion, right? Anyway, before it was bought out by Amazon, it was a very, it still is, I guess. The branding is that everything in there is like healthy and organic and everything. So I had this halo of health. So I would step into, and I was, I don't know, maybe 19 years old or something, and I would go into these stores, and I thought everything in here is going to make me more healthy. because this is a healthy store.
Right.
Okay. And of course, I bought a ton of guacamole and these like dripping in grease chips to dip the guacamole with.
Oh, that
And
sounds delicious.
it was amazing. It gave me a stomachache, but it was incredible. It was the greatest thing. And I was like, this is heaven. I'm going to go here every week.
Yeah.
And it's, like I could just eat these chips and then I'll be healthy. Have my cake and eat it too. So I gained a lot of weight. People have the same problem with legal services. Okay, so there's a halo of safety with companies like LegalZoom because legal's in the name. It's in the name. It's got to be good. Or Rocket Lawyer, it sounds so sexy, like Rocket Lawyer. But those are not attorney firms. And there have been hundreds of years of ethos and ethics and malpractice laws surrounding professionals, especially attorneys. And these companies have none of those hindrances, if you will.
Yeah.
So they can commit malpractice all over your face, and there is nothing you can do. But it says legal in the name, and you're paying them money. And I see this so much, and I get it. I totally get it. Because had I not gone to law school, I would have. This is the most perfect thing. It's just like those greasy chips that are healthy, right?
Yeah.
I heard from some, I Googled, somebody says I need an operating agreement, okay, for my new LLC, right? So I'll get it set up professionally. So I'll hire LegalZoom for, $400 or $500, and they set it up and they give me this thing and they make it so sexy. They give you like a stamp and a corporate shares and like printed stuff, but it's all crap. And it's just to defraud you, basically. I mean, it's not fraud, but because it's in their disclaimer, it says, if you look at the fine print on LegalZoom's website.
Only lawyers read that, by the way. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. But it's sad, right?
Yeah.
It says this is intended for entertainment purposes only, not intended for any purpose whatsoever. Right?
Oh my God.
Like it literally says that. I mean, this is what I read like 5 or 10 years ago, but maybe they've changed it since then. But
how
terrible.
many people do you think know that? 1 out of 10, maybe.
Very few, and they're understandably, it's a business. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur too. Like, I got to make my cut. I get it. Like, go big or go home. But it's a lie. I mean, they're advertising on these intellectual platforms like NPR and stuff. People are really heady, intellectuals. They're like, oh yeah, like LegalZoom sounds good. But then these people get into big trouble, huge trouble. I mean, we had a guy, we were talking about this a month ago. We had a friend of a friend, come in from a network, and they had hired LegalZoom, spent good money to set up their company and their partnership agreement. They had this business that sold $4.5 million worth of software as a service in the prior 12 months. There was like their third year. And the operating agreement said the majority partner, who owned 51%, could buy out the minority partner's 49% at book value, which was...
I heard you say that before. That's scary.
Yeah, and book value was just the value of their
assets,
their laptops and some desks. So he was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna give you $3,000 or $4,000 for your 49% equity in this company that just moved $4.5 million. Screw you."
Oh my goodness!
But they signed it, And hey, their argument is it says legal in the name. Well, yeah, sucker, like it didn't read the fine print, So I think that's sadly the most common mistake. And I feel terrible when I get those calls, and I get them every day,
And
honestly.
now you have threat of AI as well, right? So I see documents written by AI. You could tell which one is written by AI.
Yeah. They like hallucinate these weird provisions, and they try to sound, so you can't, AI is text-based, right? The law, how do I put it? The way the law works is we have different legal language that is charged. So it's a legal term of art that has a very specific meaning as long as you say it in this exact way.
Correct.
Here's another story. When I went to law school, I came out, I had a philosopher and a music degree. I had a double major out of college. And I was thinking, oh man, I'm going to be so poetic. These school professors, they're going to love me. I'm going to be so interesting. So I was writing this memo and it was like full of this colorful, interesting language. And like I was pulling out all the syllables, just everything. It was beautiful. And he gave me like a D. And he's like, you don't go to law school to be creative. We don't care about we don't care. It doesn't matter what you stop, like all that we care about is what the judges said hundreds of years ago. And that's it. AI too is just like me, little, cocky bastard in law school, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to be creative. But that makes it worse. If you don't use the exact same legal language, it doesn't work. And that means that the AI contracts largely don't work. And the judges won't give AI like the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be like, yeah, good job writing this.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. A lot of LOIs come to me. A lot of legal documents come to me straight from AI.
Yeah, ChatGPT generated. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they keep the lines, so they even bother getting rid of the lines.
Yeah, and the font. You can always tell from the font. That's
right.
the new, yeah.
Very good. So now, you know what? I want to get to the subject that really I want to talk about. Okay. Very, very important for small businesses, which is the difference between will and a trust.
Oh, yeah.
This is really why I wanted to have, and I'm very excited about this, because I think the education of will versus trust for small businesses, regardless of size, is very, very important, right? Mm. And involve both, businesses that we're in, which is business brokers and legal. So let's kind of talk about it a little bit. A lot of them, they think will is enough. And when I ask, 10 people, what do you have? It's will that I have, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, what's the advantage or disadvantage of having that? And we're going to break it down a little bit more. Hopefully this will become an educational piece for anybody, that starts a business.
Yeah. So trusts are one of those legal technologies. I mean, it's, 1,000 years old now, but I mean, it's survived that much change in the world and legally because it's so good.
Right.
Okay, so here's how it breaks down. If you have a will, so if you have, and a will has to be, professionally witnessed, and you need 2 disinterested witnesses for it to work, but let's assume you have all those things done. You get it professionally written, what have you. It has to go to the probate court. So if and when you die, your will be probated, meaning that your heirs or whoever, is your executor takes the copy of your will, the actual will itself, the original, to the probate court, and then you start basically a legal proceeding. The average time that legal proceeding takes is 9 to 15 months. And it depends on how complicated the assets are in your estate. If you do not own a business, it's pretty simple, right? So, not a big deal. But if you own a business and there's people that are dependent upon this business, right, for their livelihood, for example, like employees, you better have a trust because the probate court tends to freeze assets pending probate. So what does that mean practically? They're going to take your business bank accounts and just freeze them. And I don't know about you, but if anybody froze my business bank accounts,
shut down.
I'm not going to have a business very long.
Right.
And I love my employees, and my employees love working for us and with us. But, if they're not getting paid, like they're not going to work, God bless them. I wouldn't either. But that's what happens, yes, it's possible that you get the most amazing probate judge in history, and that judge allows the company to not be frozen and still conduct some business, but they don't like doing that. They're not in the business of running a business, and they don't know how to, Okay. So most of our clients, their biggest asset is their business. And it's a difficult asset to sell, of course, right? So, if you've just got a will, that means you have to sell the business in a distressed state,
Correct.
like immediately. So it's like a foreclosed upon property. Someone's going to come in there and, expect 50 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar. This is worthless without the guy, they're running it, or, the boss lady is gone. So, you got nothing here. So anyway, if you just have a will, it takes your most valuable asset, which is probably, normally like 70, 80% of the value of your entire estate, and you're just putting it down the drain. And what happens, which is really sad, but the larger companies, they just take up that market share, and this is gone. They just, the customers go somewhere else, right? Okay. If you have a trust, the trust survives you. So it's a legal entity, kind of like an LLC or a corporation.
Right.
But if you pass away and you have previously placed your business into the trust continues on even though you're dead. And you can name who the successor trustee will be, who will run your business immediately when you die.
Right. And they have the right to sell or do whatever they want with it.
Whatever they want. They can keep running it.
Mm-hmm.
They can sell it. They can sell it to the employees. They can, grow it, and your beneficiaries, even if they're, minor children or whatever, they continue to get profit distributions from the business. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But, it protects that asset.
So at what level, excuse me, at what level of business, like, you have a lot of very small businesses, owner operated, right? I mean, the owner basically has a job in the business. It's not really business owner. So what level of business should they consider trust versus will? Or is it every small business should consider it?
I'd say I'd look at it as, what happens if I die with a will, and what happens if I die with a trust, and, if you're going to lose, let's say, worst case, the business would only, sell for or operate past your passing. If it's only like, I don't know, $20,000 or $30,000 worth of stuff, and it's not really going to make a difference, if the business is fully dependent on you, and there's no way that it can function without you,
and you barely survive living with it, that's not worth it.
Then you don't really have, that's not really a business. That's just,
a job.
You're a 1099. You're like a freelancer.
Yeah.
And that's totally respectable. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I don't think it would require a trust, because it's not going to move the needle, either way. If you pass away,
it's just got to close.
Yeah, you're going to shut the doors.
Right. If your kid working in it, you probably need to trust, right?
Yeah. So if you've got, multiple employees, if you've got some ongoing, customers, if more than, I'd say, 20% of the value of your estate is tied up into that business, then it's totally worth setting up a trust. I mean, typically, a trust will cost you around $3,000 or $4,000. And I mean, usually we're protecting, at least 200,000 worth of, estate with that $3,000, if not like 2 or 3 million, so it's an easy win, for everybody. But yeah, I think that's where I would draw the line. Just how is it going to function if I pass?
Yeah. And how, so this is great information. I think, my biggest thing for right now when I talk business, ready to sell or not ready to sell, or looking at exit, is do you have trust or do you not have it? So very important question for me right now as I continue to learn what a trust does. So what about estate tax, trust versus a will, because I know there's a huge difference in how you pay and what you pay for estate tax with will and trust.
The estate tax, we've had a bit of a roller coaster with the estate tax in the last, I'd say, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So way back when Hillary was running, she was talking about bringing the estate tax limit down to like 3 or 4 million.
Yeah.
And when Trump was running, or when he did his first term, I believe he moved it up from like 8 million, where Obama had it, I think, to 11 or something. And I believe it's set to sunset this year. I'm not sure, but it's quite high. Now it's somewhere around 20 million. So there's not really tax consequences unless you have more than that amount.
Even if you have trust, or just
there are different types of trusts that you can set up if you're encroaching upon the legal limit for where taxes start to kick in. And it is possible. Lord knows what Congress is going to do in this term.
Yeah.
But it is possible that it sunsets and they stop it and it goes way back down, to like 6 or 7 million. But currently, unless you're really pushing on that amount, if your estate is worth, I'd say, less than 6 million, then I wouldn't worry about the extra trust stuff that you can do. There is plenty of things you can do, but it's not really applicable.
And I can't get that at LegalZoom. I have to go through somebody like you to get that.
You do, yes, yeah.
ChatGPT can't help me with that either.
I mean, they will say confidently that they can help you. ChatGPT especially.
Yeah. Have you? I mean, just to tell a story. Do you have any examples or stories you dealt with where people kind of either lost it all or really were very successful with trust?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not something that people tend to think about, and I don't know if it's difficult to think about your own demise,
Yeah.
As a philosophy major, I kind of love it. So it's on the top of my mind most of the time. But yeah, I mean, it's if you don't have a trust, it's really sad, because there are these thriving businesses that entrepreneurs set up and worked their butts off for decades, and then it just craters, it just crashes and burns, and everybody leaves it. I mean, I can't share information about this particular client, but I wish I could. But he passed away. He had a business worth at least $20 million, and man, he was a good friend of mine. I was harping on him to get that thing set up, and he just wouldn't do it. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to live forever," and then he passed away in like a tragic event.
Yeah. It doesn't. That's very sad. And besides that, when they go, because they have to value the business as well.
Yes,
in a probate court, right?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why it takes so damn long. What's it worth, and the value is dropping. It's like plummeting the longer that they take, but
they value
really
high.
sad.
They value it high for tax, because they're going to collect taxes on all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I've been through, so many nightmares of people going through this, and somebody valuing it like myself, business advisor, valuing it. They value it a lot lower than the probate does. They find these people. I don't know where they find them, but they dig gold only. So they're getting high values for these businesses. I wish I could sell businesses.
The
these
appraisers,
yeah.
I don't.
The appraisers
it must be
are
different set of appraisers. Yeah,
they have a different book. They have like LegalZoom kind of book. Yeah,
yes.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah. So you said, the trust is in where we are with it and what it costs and all this stuff. So how do people get educated? Like, how do they know? How are they getting the education now? Because this is lacking in small business, right? Small to, low, medium business. The education is lacking. How are they getting it? Are they seminars? I mean, let's say I'm come to your office to set up a new LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Is this part of the spiel you give me that, by the way, let's go ahead and start thinking about your trust, or because I know you set up companies as well.
If you're setting up an LLC, I'm probably not going to bring up the trust unless, it's clear to me that there's other businesses, because usually at the startup phase, you're not necessarily going to, you got to see if it's got legs first, is this really going to make some money? But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of, we like to keep up with clients, I mean, usually people order services from us kind of a la carte, and as needed. A lot of the service that we offer is just, general advice. And, and I love getting to catch up with clients and, speak with them every few months, check in on them with the quarter and what's your business goals and are you hitting them? And, we also really want to, I don't know, okay, here's a story. I went to music school a long time ago, and the music teacher there, believe it or not, was the original manager for the band Kiss.
Oh, wow.
He was a really funny guy. He filed bankruptcy like 6 times, I think, and he was very proud of it. Like, he was hilarious. So he gave us all of this advice. He's like, you need to set up an LLC. You need to take tax deductions. You're in the entertainment business. So every movie you see and soundtrack and, piece of audio equipment you buy, that's all tax deductible and like it's great. So I took notes, I was a geek. I was like, yeah, I'm going to learn from this guy. Like, so successful.
I'm going to pay taxes.
Right. So I did all of this. I took all of his advice and I really took it to heart. And I set up an LLC on my own. There wasn't any legals in it back then, thank God. And I did everything I could. I did not do a good job of setting up the LLC. I did not have an operating agreement. If anybody tried to sue me, I would not have had limited liability. But it didn't matter because I didn't make any money. So my band member pulled me aside and he's like, John, you're putting the cart before the horse. You don't need to do any of this. We might clear like $100 for a show.
Nobody's coming after you.
Yeah, right? Like, this does not matter. This is unnecessary. And that just blew my mind. I thought, oh, no, this is what we're supposed to do. But no. So when I get a call from a customer or a potential client that wants us to set up a business, I'm thinking, okay, what's the least amount of legal services that we can offer them, so that they can really get this company off the ground and running. And then we can be a long-term law firm team for them, as long as they're successful, because God forbid I would not be able to sleep at night if we took all of their, cash effectively and set up everything right away so that they had nothing to spend on marketing and nothing to spend on good employees and nothing they could spend on, schmoozing their clients and figuring it out, And so,
but you can give them advice like, hey, get to this level.
Yeah.
And then let's go do your trust. Get to this level and we'll do the next step for you.
Yeah.
Right?
So
a stronger operating agreement, which is very important too.
Exactly. So we really try to line it up based on the income levels of the business and the success. And when you asked me earlier who my favorite clients to work for are, they're ones that, like, out of nowhere, they just started being successful and they're like, oh, now what do we do?
Yeah. And you want them to keep focus on their business, their own legal stuff. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. Let's just knock it out. We're good at it. We're quick, we're responsive, and we can, give you some legal advice.
So when somebody's setting up trust, do they need to have the financial advisor also? I mean, is it like a group setting where you have more than, legal is one part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is drafting the agreement, but you need your tax guy, or do you need your financial advisor or wealth manager? What's the right thing for them? Because every time they bring somebody, they're going to pay. But it's so important that at some level, everybody needs to get a trust if their business to get to that whatever number, right?
Yeah, I love working with other professionals. I think that there are definitely some lawyers and all types of professionals out there that really want to be like the only professional they're talking to or something. But I really enjoy talking to other professionals and have a good time. And I feel like we can do by far the best work for our client because it's, it's we're just looking at it from every angle, and covering all the bases. So
yeah.
Normally financial planners don't charge, like on an hourly basis. Usually they just take, like half a percentage or a percentage or something of the invested assets, right? So they're, but they're happy to get on the phone with us and make sure that everybody's working together. I'm putting my hands together rather than like fighting one another.
And in your situation, and now I'm going to plug something else. In your situation, which, a lot of probably listeners don't know, maybe some do, you're president of BNI Buckhead chapter, which is the oldest chapter in the East Coast.
It is, yeah. We were the first. We had Ivan Meisner, the guy who started it all, like, check out our chapter, often.
So you have a guy. I mean, you have a guy or you have a girl or you have somebody, right, that you can bring into any situation that you trust or, you've vetted or you've worked with before to kind of help that customer, right? Yeah. Which people don't understand the advantage of being part of a good networking group and what that brings. Like for me, I always have 30 people behind me just helping me, right? This is my team, right? And I'm not talking about sales team. Actually, my team, if I need something, I have somebody, right? So, which is very, very strong point of view because now you expand your office. Your office no longer law. You have all these other services available to you, phone call or text, and we help each other. And I don't think people understand the power of this. So, that's why I think
it's it takes a village sometimes.
It does take a village.
I love that the BNI structure, and this is true for, the other groups too, PowerCore and what have you, but it's self-policing. So, if somebody sends me a referral and I were to really mess it up, or do a bad job, they're not going to send me referrals anymore. And they're probably going to tell all of our friends, hey, that Sparks guy, like he he did a bad job. I'm not saying, you should know. And you might even get kicked out of the group, as you should. So it's really important. And I think everybody understands this. If you, are in it for more than a year or 6 months or whatever, you got to do a great job, so everybody prioritizes those referrals, I think, and, makes damn sure that we knock it out of the park for them.
Yeah, I think it's been a pleasure being part of that group and I enjoy it. So on closing, let me ask you a question. If a business owner is listening today and wants to take some action, what are the first steps they should take?
Honestly, just call us. I love talking to entrepreneurs. We don't charge for, initial consults at least. And, it'd be great to get to meet you and understand, what you're doing and what your dreams are, where you're at. And, any legal advice you need, happy to help out.
Awesome. And then any final thoughts, key takeaways that you want to kind of share with the listeners? I have a question for you, but I want to hear your thoughts and takeaways.
Just don't use LegalZoom. Just please.
Whatever you do, call a lawyer.
This is how worried LegalZoom is about their own malpractice. Okay, they have a very powerful lobby. They've already sucked up like 80% of the legal market. Okay, so it's big, and it makes it very hard for guys like me to like shout from the rooftops and be heard. Because they have so much volume, they have so much marketing and so much.
Yeah, absolutely, they're growing,
and it's hard to compete with that. So, they want protection so bad that they tried to lobby the Georgia Congress, and they did this in all these different states, to write a law that said no legal malpractice laws and ethics laws apply to online legal services companies such as LegalZoom.
They must have a huge lobby.
Yeah, and they almost got it. They were one vote short. This is in like 2015, and they're still trying. Like that. I mean, God bless them. They're still going for it. So like, if they got that law passed, you couldn't even try to sue them for messing up your contract.
Yeah.
You can't even try. Like they just throw your case out. That's how bad it is. I mean, like, we spend a good deal, as we should, on malpractice insurance. If I mess up, there's $1 million waiting for you. You know,
Wow.
like, we're ready to go. You know, we stand by our work. We put our livelihood on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Plus you have to pay for all that insurance.
Yeah. And I'm happy to pay it, no question. But LegalZoom does not have that. They don't need it, because they're not a law firm.
I think that's a great advice. I think, my biggest takeaways is, and I'm going to keep preaching, trust versus will based on the business. I think that is so important. People don't understand.
For business owners,
That's your legacy you're leaving, and you don't want to flush it down the toilet, right? Yeah. And then the LegalZoom thing, which I really don't understand. And I'm going to look at the
fine print. You're going to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I used to do a B&I presentation where I would just read it.
Oh, wow.
And people are just rolling because it's so bad.
Yeah. I'm going to actually, when we publish this, I'm going to make sure it's part of it if I can find it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send I'll send it to you.
So now to the most important questions of the day.
Okay.
You're a musician, you play guitar, and I'm going to assume you sing too?
I do, yeah.
I'm not going to make you sing. Okay. But do you want to manage her? We can go on The Voice together. It's my dream to take people on The Voice.
No? Yes. Totally. Let's do it. Yeah, I do. I do want to do that. Yeah.
My guilty pleasures are AGT and The Voice. And if Claudia's listening to this, I'll watch me like I get very involved. I don't know why.
Your angelic voice, Ramzi.
I don't sing.
You do. It's in your heart.
It is.
You need to let your
So
beautiful
what is your?
seagull fly.
I'm not gonna do it. I want to manage people doing that. What's your favorite genre? What do you listen to, or
I'm a sucker for classic rock,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I think the hair kind of gave it up.
Yeah, I love, Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd, yeah.
Yeah.
All of it.
And what's your favorite song?
My favorite song ever?
Yeah.
Gosh, oh man. I think what it is an old Dylan song. It's I don't even know what it's called. It's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right.
Oh, okay, very good. Yeah.
It's like a breakup song, but it's
a breakup song.
It's he figured out how to say no in that song, and it's good. So beautiful.
Well, I listen across all genres. I literally do. I listen to hip hop in the morning when I'm working out, all the way to romantic at night.
Yeah, for
different reasons. My favorite song, and it's because I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's by Michael Bublé, actually. Everything.
Really?
Yes, and it's my wife's favorite song too. So
awesome.
Yeah, I cannot change it.
We should play it at the end of this.
I know.
Yeah, so people can hear it.
Well, listen, great having you on the show. Thank you very much.
So great to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Your website? Do you want to tell us what your website?
Sure. It's pretty easy to remember. It's sparkslawpractice.com. There's this guy out of Texas that owns sparkslaw.com. I forget his first name, but his last name is Sparks.
Is he an injury lawyer?
He's like 95 or something.
Oh, okay.
And I keep emailing him and calling him every year. I'm like, dude, sell me this website, please. Because he hasn't changed it in like 15 years.
And he's not using it?
No, he's not. He's 95.
Yeah.
What is he going to do? But anyway, maybe I can like hit up his estate, go to probate court and like offer them.
Yeah, send him a LegalZoom.
I doubt he has a trust
Send him a LegalZoom thing. All right, fantastic.
Yeah, sparkslawpractice.com. And our phone number is 470-268-5234. So give us a call anytime. We're here to help.
This is great. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. That was
pleasure
awesome.
Knowing you at a personal level, and pleasure talking to you in this setting. Thank you very much.
Rock on, guys. Build some business.